And we are back. I'm Karen Das.
And I'm Vinay Harrichan from the Cutlass magazine.
So this is the star. Right, you're doing it like this, right? I'm mashing it up so.
What a fantastic week this has been. Such healthy interaction, fun interaction, and just wonderful contributions from everybody keeping up with Trinidad Bhojpuri. I really enjoyed it. What about you, Vinay?
Yeah, I really enjoy all of the audience participation and people recommending words and phrases, and it's nice to see the conversation being generated.
So let's start with a little bit of magic, which is our word on Monday, JAADOO. So, we hear it in different contexts, put a little JAADOO in the mix, don't fall for the JAADOO, that person have real JAADOO. Some made reference to a Bollywood movie, Koi Mil Gaya. So we had magic, we had witchcraft, and we had sorcery.
hmm Yeah, so typically the literal translation of jadoo would be magic. So it's the Hindustani word for magic. And one of the things I did was for my hint, I provided the hint kala jadoo, which some people would be black magic. So jadoo is magic, but if you're looking for witchcraft or black magic, then that becomes kala jadoo. And people might refer to a lot of songs because it's a very popular word used in a lot of songs. But I know one very popular one is by the Mighty Trini, where he's talking about an Indian woman that he loves and how she puts jadoo in all her dishes. So he says, "Jadoo in the kalalu." And that might be something that people might remember. So yeah, it's often used in a lot of songs.
I think someone made reference to that as well on the post. All right. So Jadoo, well done, everybody. And we went on to another Trinidad Bhojpuri phrase, another Bhojpuri phrase, another Trinidad Bhojpuri word. And that was KALJUG or KALYUG, depending on which you're more familiar with. And popular answers: age of darkness, hard times, times we're currently living in, when Hindu deity Kalki will be called on to restore righteousness. We saw comments last yug of the four yugas and the age of Kalki.
Yeah, so Kalyug or Kaljug, and as we see there's kind of that difference between Hindi and Bhojpuri, where in Hindi you'd have the Y sound. So yes, in Hindi you'd have the Y sound, and then in Bhojpuri you'd have a more J. So you see that there with Kalyug versus Kaljug, and all the things that you mentioned are correct. You can translate it to the Dark Ages. I know some people use it to reference the end times, the Black Ages, things like that. So it typically references a period of time where there's the Hindu scripture where you talk about Kalki. And in general, people might use it in common parlance to mean, a time when things are going very bad or there's a lot of misfortune and chaos.
And what's the meaning of yuga?
Yuga, I believe, means a period of time, but I might have to double check that.
So it's one word or combination of two words, Kal and Yuga.
Yeah, I believe it's a combination of two words because Kal is the reference to Kalki, and then Yug, I believe, means a period of time. So as you said, the Dark Ages, Black Ages period when Kalki comes. So it's more of a combination of two words.
All right. Well done. And now we move on to the Trinidad Bhojpuri phrase. This, well, folks were all too eager to get involved with this Trinidad Bhojpuri phrase. Hum toke JHAPAR MARAB. And MARAB. I also used a THAPAR to see which was common. So let's see. A hard slap, to slap someone. Nalini actually said that in Suriname, the original phrase went hum toka Abahu ek jhapar mardu. And of course, over time, there would be adjustments to some of those words, but basically means, I'll give you a slap any minute. So, of course, here in Trinidad, we just say, you wait right there, slap coming just now.
Exactly what you said. Hum toke JHAPAR marab, hum toke THAPAR marab. JHAPAR and THAPAR are the two Hindustani words that you'll hear for slap. Typically, it seems like THAPAR is more associated with standard Hindi, whereas JHAPAR is more of a Trinidad Bhojpuri word for slap. And hum, means in this context me or I. Tu or 2K means to you or something happening to you. And then tapa marab or japa marab means to give a slap. So the actual sentence in total means I will give you a slap.
Right. It was Fiji. Sudhir of Fiji said, Hum toke abhi ek jhapar marab.
And the abhi just means right now, at the moment.
Right. And they used jhapar and marab, and we simply had marab.
Yeah, it seems like, as we know with Hindustani, the pronunciation varies. Some people might add an extended A or shorten the A. So in Trinidad Bhojpuri, for whatever reason, we typically go with the short A. So marab, whereas in his version, he said marab. So there's that long A extension there. And obviously, Fiji Hindi also has influences of Awadhi and standard Hindi. So that could also be a factor at play there.
Okay, thank you all so much. Laura made reference to Indian soap operas where there was always a THAPAR or a JHAPAR involved. Okay, so another Trinidad Bhojpuri word, SARJOO or SARJOO, we decided to go with a name.
Yes, exactly. So this was a really interesting one, and part of the reason why we wanted to test this because so many people have the last name SARJOO or SARJOO, and it's very important to note that SARJOO or SARJOO is the Bhojpuri equivalent of Sarayu, and Sarayu is a holy river in India, and it goes through parts of Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, and it's considered a holy river because it's close to the Ganga and all of those rivers. And so having that last name is sort of a hint about where your ancestors might have come from, because if they would have taken that name, it's very likely they were from that region of India. So just know that SARJOO, SARJOO, that's the Bhojpuri equivalent of Sarayu, being the Sarayu River in India.
Biraj said the same. Kishore asked, does it have to do with the Sarayu River? So now you know. But I'm curious though, Vinay, because I saw mention of merchant or trader. I also saw a necklace.
Yeah, I was actually curious about this because I know that Sarayu, the Sanskrit origin, Sar means to flow, or Sar means flow, and the use of Sarayu, the adding of that a U ending to Sar, means something that is flowing. So I wasn't sure where the usage of merchant came from. I don't know if maybe it has to do with the fact that merchants would commonly sell along these rivers, but I'm not too sure where people came up with that answer, the Sarayu being a merchant.
All right. Well, now we've learned, for those who are not aware, of how the name actually came about. And on that topic of a name, when we misspell someone's name or even mispronounce someone's name, people might think that is trivial, but it's not. There's significance to someone's name, how it is spelled and how it is pronounced, because there's meaning to our names. So Nalini Mohan of Suriname gave a nice little explanation of the spelling of names and why our spelling might be different from other Bhojpuri-speaking countries. So the name Sarjoo or Sirjoo. So we know Sirjoo and we know Sarjoo, and we have our spelling of Sarjoo, but she explained why their Sarjoo is spelled very different from our Sarjoo. So you can go to her comment, or you'll see it posted here, and that should give you a good reason behind the spelling of names.
So, am I your man, Mr. Dumbass?
The name is Dumas.
Yes, definitely. And so many of our names as well, people might think that our names are broken, but what they don't realize is that a lot of our names are the Bhojpuri equivalents of what you'll find in a place like India. So definitely don't think that your name is, a broken form of Hindi or some sort of misspelling. There might be a misspelling because that's on the part of the British, but just know that the names aren't necessarily a broken form of another name. They're their own particular dialect and have their own linguistic roots. So Sarjoo is not a broken form of Sarju. It's just a different dialect and true to what your ancestors would have spoken.
And this takes us to our food-related Bhojpuri words, and we had two words really. Bhunjal, BHAAT, and I have to say I love this one the most because the contribution, oh my goodness, I think this triggered a lot of memories for people. Bhunjal, BHAAT. So we know BHAAT, we know BHAAT, we know Gila BHAAT. Yes, Nana Singh, I forgot to put that one in. And we know Dal BHAAT. We covered Rajma BHAAT. So I asked, what is Bhunjal BHAAT?
Yes, exactly. Now, lots of people know that bhat is cooked rice, and people might know bhunjeri lawa. You make bhunjal chicken, bhunjal curry. So I think probably the closest Trinidadian colloquial word for bhunje would be when they say you patch something, you patch it, you roast it. So bhunjal bhat is essentially the same as fried rice. So when you patch the rice, fry the rice, roast the rice, and make fried rice, just know bhunjal bhat is the equivalent of fried rice, dal bhat is dal and rice, rajma bhat is red bean and rice. So it's nice to have those Hindustani equivalents.
And it was another way to conserve food and to prevent wastage based on some of the messages that came in. Yasmin Lynch shared that when her grand came home from the cane field, there was obviously no refrigerator in those days, so you couldn't store food. And she said, had to cook up something. So she had her leftover rice and she would fry it up with any like tomatoes and put some onion in there and just create another meal. And so many others shared the same thing. Veera just remembered that this was actually a favorite in his family as well. And so the thread of messages, just read pretty much the same thing about people cooking up or whatever was left. So if we had to say leftover rice, would that be basi bhat?
Well, I know, bhaki is like the word for remaining or leftovers, so we could use that. Yeah, bhaki, bhat, remaining rice, leftover rice.
Right. So look, we have our next bhat. List, not bhat at all. All right. So this wraps up Trinidad Bhojpuri words and phrase. Thank you all so much for keeping up with us. Now we have a theme that's going for the next couple of weeks for Trinidad Bhojpuri words and phrase. Right, Vinay?
Yes, exactly. We're going to be doing words that are a little bit more aligned with indentureship, since a lot of, as we know, countries are observing Indian Arrival Day. So we'll be having words that are a little bit more tied to our indentureship history.
All right. So we hope you guys keep up with us. We can't wait to hear from you. And thank you for keeping up with Trinidad Bhojpuri Words and Phrase online, on Facebook, on Cutlass Magazine, on YouTube as well. And on that note of Cutlass Magazine, Vinay, just remind us how folks can get in touch with you.
Yes, you could follow me at Cutlass Magazine on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, or send me an email, a Sandesh, an email at cutlasspodcast@gmail.com.
So until next week,